Hey folks, today we are going to discuss LeetCode problem number 1395 and the problem name is count number of teams. So in this problem, we are given n soldiers and each of them have their own rankings, right, or ratings. So we have to pick a team of 3 soldiers in such a way that the first person's ranking is less than second person's ranking and whose rank is less than third person's ranking, or else first person's ranking is greater than second person's ranking is greater than third person's ranking. So either strictly increasing or strictly decreasing way, we have to find if there are any possible combinations in such way, and we are not supposed to rearrange the soldiers here and there. So then we have to return how many such teams can be formed. So we have to do this, and also there is another condition that soldiers can be part of multiple teams. So these are the conditions that are given, and we have to return total number of possible teams that we can form out of this rating array. So our brute force solution would be to go to use 3 loops, one for each of the soldier, and we can check whether all these soldiers are either incremental or decremental, that is strictly increasing or strictly decreasing. And if we find such team of soldiers, then we will return that pair, or else we'll keep a count of such teams, and finally we'll return the answer. So for that we'll be using 3 loops. But if you check the constraints of this problem, you can see that there are n can take a maximum value up to 1000. So order of n cube solution will give us time limit exceeded in this case. So we have to optimize this further. So the first solution that can come in our mind is either using a hash map or array kind of data structure, which will give us and eliminate the third order of n, that is which will decrement the order of n cube to order of n square time complexity. So let me explain you how that works. So let me take this first example. So what I want to do is since there are two kind of sequences that can be formed. One is this, let me highlight that. So one is strictly incrementing, and the second one is strictly decreasing, right? So there are two kinds of patterns that we can arrange the soldiers and make them into teams, right? So for that case, what I'm trying to do is I'm taking 2 arrays basically. So one is higher ranking, and each of these arrays will have same length as our ratings array. So 3, 4 and 5 in this case. And next, lower rating, which will be having same thing initially. So what I'm trying to do is, at any given index, let's say for our index is 0, so I'll try to find how many values that are greater than this rating of 0, that is the value 2. So if you can see in this case, we'll get 3 numbers that are having value greater than 2, right? So we'll replace this value by 3. That means we can get the third soldier's rating in order of 1 using these 2 arrays. So this is my idea. And if you go about this 5, there are no values that are greater than 5, so this remains 0. And for 3 and 1, it will be 1 and 0 respectively. And finally for 1, since there are no more elements left to the right side of the 1, we'll leave it as is. So for lower ratings, what we'll try to do is, for each index we'll check how many numbers whose value will be less than the value present at current index. So for 2, since there are no left elements, we'll keep this value as is. And for 5, since there is one element whose value is 2, which is less than 5, we'll update this index value will be 1. and for 3, since there is only one element whose value is 2, so we'll update this value to be 1 as well. For 4 there are 2 elements, both 2 and 3, so we'll update this value to 2, which are less than 4 essentially. So for the last index there is no value which is less than the value 1, so we'll keep this value as is. So when we are using the first 2 loops for 2 soldiers, like let's say 2 and 5, so since we have the incrementing pattern, so we have to find a value which is greater than 5, right, as our third soldier. But if you can see, like, there are no elements which has greater than 5, the value to be greater than 5, so will not include this value. Okay, so in similarly, like in the next case, our second soldier index will be incrementing, and the current team will be having a 2 and 3 ratings soldier, and we have to find if we can fit one more team member into the current team. So since at this index we have one person who has higher rating than the rating 3 itself, that is the soldier who has rating 4, hence we are updating this count to 1. Initially it will be 0, now we are incrementing it to 1, since we have a possible pair, which not a pair, a team combination whose values are like 2, 3 and 4 respectively. So similarly we'll go and check if we can form any team with decreasing order as well. So for example, if you can see this, if our first soldier has rating 5 and the second soldier has rating 3, now we are going to check the lower rating array, and since at the same index, that is 2, we can get the value that, okay, there is one more soldier who has lesser rating than the current index rating, that is 3, that is one, a soldier whose rating is 1, right? So that's why we add this value to our count as well. So our count now becomes 2, and the answer that we have is 5, 3 and 1. I hope you are understanding. So similarly we'll traverse the entire array 2 times, so it will be order of n square time complexity. So let me code that down for you so that it makes more clear. So higher rating is equals to 0 into length of rating, and similarly lower rating is equals to 0 into length of rating. So once we have this, I'm just taking a variable count, which is our final answer. So now we have to update the higher ranking and higher rating and lower rating arrays, right? So for that I am using 2 loops. So let me code it down. For I in range, length of rating. For j in range, 1 I plus 1 to length of rating. So what I am trying to do is, for every soldier, I am checking how many soldiers that are situated to the right side of the current soldier has higher rating than the current soldier. So for that I am using the second loop. So if my rating of j is greater than rating of I, then what I am trying to do is I am trying to update the higher rating array, higher rating of I with 1, because if we find 5, 3 and 4, there are 3 people who are having higher ratings than the soldier whose index is 0, then we have to update the higher rating array with at 0th index with 3, right? So that's what I'm doing here with higher rating of I plus is equals to 1. In a similar way, like, since I'm anyway looping through this entire array, I am also checking if rating of j is less than rating of I, in which case I am updating my lower rating array. Sounds clear? So once this is done, we'll be getting our updated higher rating and lower rating arrays. Now our goal is to find the number of teams, right? So for that, I'm taking another for loop, which will help me in traversing through the array. And for j in range I plus 1 to the same thing, right? Rating. So here also, if so, this is our first soldier, for first soldier in a team, and this is for our second soldier. So for third soldier, what we are trying to do is we are trying to use the higher rating and lower rating arrays. So for this case, if our rating of the second soldier is greater than a rating of first soldier, that means we are going in an strictly increasing order, right? Increasing sequence. So in which case we are updating our count with whatever higher rating value is there at the jth index, because we have to consider the second soldier while we are comparing with the third soldier, right? So that's why we are updating it with a higher rating of j. So in similar way, if our rating of second soldier is less than our rating of first soldier, that means we are forming a decreasing sequence, right? So in this case, we have to update the count with lower rating of j, right? I'm having many typos here, so once this is done, I'm just returning the count that we have counted so far. So let me give it a dry run. So yes, accepted. Yeah, so it works fine. So the time complexity would be order of n square, since we are using 2 loops, and in the worst case we have to have order of n square time complexity, and the space complexity would be order of n, since we are using 2 length of rating arrays, right? So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you.